He squeezed my hand like it was the only thing keeping him tethered to this world. "I don't want to get in," he whispered, barely audible. His small voice cracked something inside me. My throat tightened. "Why not, buddy?" I crouched beside him, tried to meet his eyes, but his eyes, God, his eyes weren't on me. They were locked on the back of the car. Her car, my wife's brand new SUV, parked neatly in the driveway like it belonged there, like nothing had shattered inside this house, like nothing had ever been wrong. "Look in the trunk," he said, his voice trembling now, like it cost him everything just to say the words. I froze, the air thickening in my lungs. Slowly, I unlocked the trunk. What I found inside made my heart stop. But let me take you back first. Just 3 months ago, I would have told you we were a happy family. 2 good incomes, a modest but beautiful home in the suburbs, dinners together on Sundays, our son's laughter echoing through the hallways. She used to kiss me goodbye every morning, whisper, "I love you," and I believed it every time. Why wouldn't I? I was working late a lot, chasing a promotion, grinding through deadlines. I told myself her distance was just a phase, that the coldness in her voice was exhaustion, that the new passwords on her phone, the half-hearted excuses, the empty seat across from me at breakfast, those were just bumps, not red flags. I made excuses. I wanted to believe. Then the SUV showed up one morning. No discussion, no warning. Just there in the driveway, gleaming like a trophy. "Congrats on the new wheels," I said, forcing a smile. She smiled too, but it didn't reach her eyes. She said it was time. It wasn't the car that bothered me. It was how she smiled like nothing needed to be explained. That was the first crack. The second came a week later. Our son had a fever. I took the day off, made him soup, sat by his bedside, kept a cool cloth on his forehead. She came home late that night, said she got held up at yoga. I nodded, not wanting to push. But her hair, it smelled like cologne. Not mine. I didn't confront her. I didn't shout. I just watched silently, carefully. That's how I found the hotel key. Slipped inside her coat pocket. Forgotten. Then the whispering phone call she took outside, pacing like a teenager sneaking around. She didn't know I was watching through the window, learning the patterns she thought were hidden. She didn't know I followed her once. I watched from across a parking lot as she wrapped her arms around a man, his SUV identical to hers. A copy-paste love story. That wasn't a dealership perk. It was a gift, a reward. I didn't scream, didn't cry. I let silence wrap around me like armor. Revenge, I've learned, isn't about anger. It's about control, about patience. First, I met with a lawyer. Quietly, I moved my assets, the money I'd earned before we ever married, into a trust under my son's name, locked ironclad. Then I started pulling threads from the tapestry she'd woven. She hadn't worked in months. Told people she was taking time for the family. In truth, she was draining our savings, weekend spa getaways, business trips, dinners I never tasted. I canceled our joint credit cards, froze the accounts. She called that afternoon in a panic. "Something's wrong with the bank," she said. "No," I replied, calm and clear. "Everything is exactly right." Then I turned to her lover. Of course he was married. It always comes in layers. I sent his wife a message. No name, just evidence. Photos, dates, hotel receipts. A full truth she'd never forget. I never saw her face, but I could imagine it. The cold fury, the slow collapse, the same silence I'd been living in for months. By the end of the week, his life was crumbling. My wife came home furious. "I know what you did," she hissed. I met her gaze with a quiet I had perfected. "So do I?" That was when she tried to play the car as a trump card, claimed it was hers. A gift, said she'd keep the SUV, maybe move out, maybe even take our son with her. I told her to go ahead, but it was my son who stopped everything. That morning, we were getting ready for school. I held his backpack, waiting by the garage, but he didn't move. He stood staring at the SUV, his little body tense, fists clenched. "I don't want to get in," he said. I crouched. "What's wrong, kiddo?" His lip trembled, looking in the trunk. And so I did. Tucked neatly under a blanket, behind a folded stroller, was a leather briefcase. I opened it. Stacks of cash, maybe $$20,000, maybe more. Beneath that, a burner phone. The screen lit up with messages she hadn't deleted. Don't let him find out. Once he signs, the papers were free. The money is safe in the car. No one checks there. I didn't say a word to her that night. Instead, I handed everything to my lawyer. He looked through the phone, the cash, the thread of deceit running through it all, and smiled like a man who'd seen this play before and loved how it ended. The next day, I filed. Full custody, financial fraud, hidden assets, adultery. The briefcase was a golden ticket to the truth. She didn't see it coming. Not the court summons served during her yoga class. Not the frozen accounts. Not the silence from her lover, who was now too busy trying to save his own marriage. She came home in a panic. I can explain, she begged. I raised a hand. You already did, I said. In every lie you told. Weeks later, we stood in court. She tried to cry, said I was distant, cold, unloving. But the judge had seen it all. The photos, the messages, the secret stash of betrayal she thought she'd buried under a blanket in the trunk. He ruled in my favor. She lost custody, lost the house, lost the SUV. And her lover? He disappeared, slid back into the shadows of his real life like she never existed. The day the papers were finalized, my son and I drove home in my old car. He sat beside me, staring out the window. Is she coming back? He asked. I paused, then shook my head. No, buddy, she already left a long time ago. And that's what I remember now. Not her face, not the betrayal, not even the lies. I remember his hand in mine, his voice, the tremble when he said, "Look in the trunk." That moment gave me the truth, and I gave us both our freedom. She buried her lies in that trunk.